Well. How have you been, Nick, since this is our first time sitting down to talk for an hour since,
We'll see if we make it an hour.
Yeah, well...
It's been...
There we go.
It's been a minute. Fuck, it's too high now. God damn it.
I got you.
That's good. You've been living.
Me too.
It's been what?
I think, September was the last time we recorded an episode. It had to have been. It definitely wasn't in October.
We recorded, you just never posted it.
Yeah. So, quick recap, I guess, for anybody who hasn't watched any of our previous podcasts. We started a podcast called... 6 months, yeah. Damn,
Jesus Christ.
Wow. We started a podcast called Spectrum Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And we planned on rebranding it to Crossroads. Which, I mean, when I post this episode, it'll be rebranded as Crossroads. I'll just throw the old footage that I have. Or, like, the old templates.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, why not? I worked on a million things that I never decided to post. And a lot of those podcasts fall in that category. As for these last couple of months, I had, like, I guess, some sort of structure. We don't have to follow it, but this is how I figured we could go about it, since it could cover the entire hour, which is, like, where were we when, like, we were recording? These were, like, questions I was asking myself, was, like, where were we at the time when, like, we were recording those podcasts, like, our jobs, mentally, how were we, and yada yada, stuff like that. Where are we now? Of course, fill in. Why did we stop doing the podcast? That's more on my end.
I feel like that's where we could start.
All right.
Just because
it's probably the biggest question. Yeah. And then, will we go again? Question mark. So that was another question. Will we try to do a podcast again?
Oh, will we come back? Like, will we try again?
Yeah. Okay. So those are the 4 questions that I had that I wanted to address, at least.
Yeah.
So we can start with, why did we stop? I'll let you go first.
We just stopped because it seemed like we weren't really getting anywhere, I think. Like, we were coming to do this. Well, I was coming to do this because this is at your place, but it's like, we would record, we would just never post. So it kind of gets tough, like, to do it over and over again. And then you're like, I liked it, but nothing came out of it. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault, because you're the one who edits. I just come and fucking talk for an hour. So I'm like, I can't really say, like, force you to be like, nah, we gotta keep going. Nah, we gotta fucking, like, follow through with this, because it's not my call to make. I'm just here to talk.
Yeah.
But nah, it was, I felt like we started off good, and then towards the end, we kind of started to fall apart. More like Game of Thrones. We started off strong, and the ending was a little shit.
This is what I wrote down, just because articulating my words isn't my best suit. So I stopped because I needed time to step away from everything. I reached a new low, and I was surrounded by so much negativity, and I felt like a lot of the examples that I was surrounded by were people who were cynical, depressed, or victimized. I felt like I didn't have a place to go, and it, to me, would reflect during the podcast. I needed help, but so did everyone else around me. So I did the only thing I knew how to do, which was stick to myself for a bit. And I remember a feeling before we recorded the last podcast episode that we did, that I knew at that point that would likely be the last episode we recorded for a while. And it was just because I think the reason why I stopped and the reason why I didn't edit the videos is how I perceived myself mainly. And I think it was just how I presented every topic that we talked about. I felt like I put a lot of weight on the words that I was saying, and everything that I was saying wasn't me. It felt like it was like I was saying things that I knew people wanted to hear.
Yeah, you wanted to answer the question for the sake of the question.
Yeah, and I felt like that wasn't where I wanted it to go. And I was just like, I don't know how to get myself out of this. There's too many personal issues in my life that I am not addressing, and the podcast felt like it was adding another problem into that bunch, and it was, to me, a bit overwhelming at that time. Yeah, that's why I stopped. I felt like I wasn't being me in the podcast after a certain point. Like, I was still trying to be natural, but it felt like I was censoring myself too much. I was projecting too much of my fear of how I would be perceived and how anybody who listened to me would react, as if like it was that important, you know, like this was being broadcasted to the whole world. Everyone would see it, kind of like stress, and I didn't know why I was like, you know, so overwhelmed by that. But that's essentially what made me stop.
Ultimately, it's not here nor there. It wasn't like a decision that was just made out of the blue. It was more like we both knew. Well, like you said, you knew it was coming. I kind of was like I knew it was becoming dull. Like, you can only ask so many questions before you couldn't have an answer for it anymore.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of something that we both needed at that point. Yeah. Because the same as you said, there were so many other things going on, like personally, that you can't really touch on, or you can't really explain as well. Like when it feels like it's scripted, when you're just answering a question and answer.
Yeah, or you're like being vague.
Yeah, you're being vague. You're giving the general idea, but not actual details.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. Because I don't know, part of me is embarrassed about my past. Part of me is also proud of the things that I've done, and it's like a double-edged sword. It's like I don't like to be or express the pride that I have in a lot of things that I do because of fear of sounding cocky or self-absorbed, and I don't like sharing any like previous stories of my past just because of the fact that I don't want to be looked down on and stuff like that. So it was this sort of middle ground that I try to stay. And you know me, sometimes I am like depressed, or I like to make fun of the things that I've been through, as well as like I like to boast a bit when I accomplish certain things. So I was like, it's not really me that I'm showing right in these podcasts. And I felt like when I watched it back as I was editing it, I just couldn't agree with putting it out there. And I felt bad because we had good content. There was great conversations that we had. There was moments where I was like, this is what I want the podcast to be.
And we had people that were genuinely interested. Like, we had people that constantly would ask. It's not the time. It's not the time.
Yeah. I think the fact that it was let up, I know that you don't have the ability to edit, but the fact that when it was left to me to edit, I didn't look past that wall, and that's why a lot of it never was finished. And it's a wall that I've struggled with ever since I got into content creating. Like ever since I was 15, I was always just embarrassed of who I was. You know, not a lot of self-love there, but I feel like since then I've learned that in some sense.
6 months is a long fucking time.
These 6 months felt like a year.
This 6 months felt like 3 to me.
Yeah, there's so I think that will address why I stopped, at least. I was too self-critical. That was definitely my biggest flaw. All right.
That answers that.
That answers that. On to which one would you like to touch?
What was the other one? Where were you then? Where are you now?
Where were we then? Where are we now? And where will we continue? Question mark.
Do you want to start, or should I start?
Wait, which question are we doing first?
Where were we then?
Where were we then? You could go first.
Back in September, where was I? I was slightly unhappier than I am now, which is not saying much, because...
Not a surprise.
I'm way happier now than I, have been before.
Let's go. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, I went to a party recently with former coworkers of mine, and one of my coworkers was like, "From the time I left to now, you look like you're just enjoying life more." I'm like, "It's because I am. I don't have anything to hide from anybody anymore. Really, I don't have fears to that. I don't let the possibilities of what ifs try to control me anymore." Because I've hit the goals that I've wanted to hit as of lately, and now I'm setting more bigger goals. But yeah, no, as where I was before, a little bit more unhappier. I was still working as a part-timer at Nike. Damn, I had just turned 22, so. It's almost been a year being 22. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, wow.
Fuck, bro, we're getting old.
We're about to be 23 this year.
The other day at work, they called me fucking old for never watching The Waterboy. I'm like, bro, I'm not even old. I'm just Hispanic.
It's like, I wasn't raised with that.
Exactly. It's like I wasn't raised on that shit. I was raised on all the Vicente Fernandez movies.
I don't even know what those
Exactly.
are.
Nah, but I don't know. From 6 months ago to now, it's a good. I wouldn't say a 180, but definitely like a 90-degree change, like improvement.
Different path for sure.
Where I am now, I finally went full time. I'm the head of the footwear department at my store at Nike. Like I said, I've been a lot happier. I had a Britney Spears moment, chopped my hair off.
Yeah, I
and
noticed that it was short. I was like, did he just get sick of it?
You got the thing, like, we haven't really even talked in 6 months. We haven't. I think we've seen each other in those 6 months maybe once.
That sounds about right.
No, maybe not even once. Not once when you guys went to the store recently, like a month ago. You, John, Juan, and
on the occasion where like it wasn't our intention to see you.
Yeah, and I was fucking slammed.
I know, we're like, hey Nick, you're like, bro, I'm dying.
You came at the worst fucking possible time.
I know.
Like I'm getting questions left, right, and center, and you guys are like, yo, I'm like, nah,
Nick,
this ain't it. And now I'm looking to possibly going into a career in translating for. Because my mom knows someone that, like, gave me, like, a website and this, that, the other. And she does it for the government. At the federal level, I guess. Dog, starting at the federal level, translating, is about $120,000 a year career, starting.
That's pretty good.
It's about, I was telling my mom, ideally I want to start at the state level, because that's where you have to start, always. But if I were to get it perfect, I could be at a federal, like, translating level within 5 years.
That's pretty good.
Your ambitions, you know? Alright, where were you 6 months ago?
6 months ago, I was working at RK, which is a construction company. I don't work there anymore. I quit. I now work at First Watch, which is a daytime cafe, and I bus. I used to serve, I don't anymore, because I also work at Olive Garden, where I serve. I'm serving between both jobs. I wish I still did, but to save my reputation in some way, which is a long story, I chose to be a busser instead. Essentially, long story short, I got sick, right? And I was a server, so like...
All the food you touched.
Probably not a good idea to serve when I was sick. Except it just happened to be on the day where we were like short-staffed. And by short-staffed, I mean like... There's normally 5 servers on the floor. There were
like 2.
Me and 2 others, right? And I come into work and I'm like, I feel like shit. There's no way I'm going to work today. But I want to show them. Like, you could hear it in my voice. Since I'm dying, I go to my manager and I tell her, I was like, hey, essentially, I'm sick. I wanted to, like, come here to show you that by the sound of my voice, I'm not capable of working today because of fear of getting other people sick. Especially, this is the beginning of January, so it's when COVID cases in the U.S. just right after the holidays.
The second wave.
New peak. And I was almost certain that I got it, you know? Like, I felt it get me the night before.
Yeah.
And she just looks at me. My manager just straight looks at me and says nothing. And then I'm just like awkwardly standing there like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I just wanted to come to work today to tell you, like, to show you that it's not like I'm not trying to be here. Because there's a lot of employees there that are like skipping out, you know? I'm like, I don't want to be in that category of unreliable employees.
Yeah, exactly.
And she just says nothing to me. And then eventually she's just like, well, you're going to have to do the Zedic check, and that thing is going to make you... It's like this health check thing that we have to do.
This self-assessment?
Yeah, and she's like, you're going to be out for like 5 to 10 days. I'm like, 5 to 10 days? Oh my God. I'm like, this is the last thing that like a short staff people do. And I was like thinking maybe it'll be for the day. I did end up having COVID, funny enough. I got COVID twice now. So, yeah. I don't know how I'm still alive.
You got it twice?
Yeah, I got it back in November of 2020. And now I got it in January of 2022. My life's been great. Yeah. So I ended up having COVID, and they still got mad at me for that. Or like it felt like they just had less respect for me when I came back from work. You know, I had that like feeling that like that people were talking to me less and everything. I was like, it's not even my fault. So working there is not a blast. But the good news is where I am now is in terms of a career. I'm actually focused on one. I built a website, which it's under progress. Nobody can see it right now, but it looks pretty good. I think so far. That's my main focus. That's what I'm working on. So that way I can get a job as a videographer. I kind of have a job as a videographer right now, but it's very freelance in the regards that whenever this realtor wants me to make a commercial for him, I'll do so.
Realtor.
Yeah.
I have to
that
make
too?
sure since I can't see it from this end.
Yeah, but that's where I'm at. I'm a lot more focused on myself. Emotionally, 6 months ago, I felt like I kept spiraling. I think I noticed that there was a lot of unaddressed issues that I was so unaware of and oblivious to ever since like I felt like I was a teenager or my whole life. And
Yeah.
it seemed like now a lot of things started to mold into the form where it's like I understand what it takes to be an adult now. Emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of
Financially.
it. It's just like all of it, yeah, like financially, professionally, like adequately, just all these
Yep.
things, right? It's just like
It just clicked over that time.
yeah, to me it felt like reality really settled in. And
Yeah,
I was
same.
just there to absorb it all. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but right now it's just like it's evolution. I can't stop it no matter what. Things are changing right now and it's just I'm along for the ride. I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to do anything. It felt like everything was starting to clear up. I was in the eye of the hurricane, and for a second it was just like peaks and it just passed me. And now I'm done. I feel like I have a clean slate. Also, interestingly enough, I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but as you know, I lived by chapters my whole like teenage years. 2021 was the end of my chapter 5, and that was what I marked as the end of what those chapter videos would be, and that would all be one book. I call that book The Dreamer with a Broken Heart, and it will eventually be a project I work on. I had this sort of subconscious image to live up to because I knew I wanted to call that project chapter 5 alpha, and having that alpha, I wanted to be like an alpha version of myself, the best that I could be. And
Right, alpha will come down.
I always held myself to that standard. And I think some part of me was diluted because I was living in the perception of what I wanted to be and not really living in the real world, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to work, I was going to work because I wanted to be responsible, I wanted to be hardworking, and I wanted to just, make money to pay my bills. But it started to dawn on me that these are things that I want, but what should I do for like the world that like I exist in? I'm here at work. What around me can I be more present towards? Because it felt like I was just so out of touch with reality, and I didn't know how to be grounded. That's why so often I would get high. Being prescribed Adderall helps too, which I did try, and I felt like it was nice, but you have to like increase your dosage over time, and that.
It's a fine line to walk.
Yeah, I was like my boss when I worked in construction took 80 milligrams a day.
Holy fuck!
That's a lot. He's like, I've been taking Adderall for about 15 years now because he had ADHD too. I was
He's
just
not
like,
dead.
yeah, I was just like, there's 80 milligrams a day. He's like, yeah, I take 40 like in the morning when he wakes up, and then like another 40 after his
Lunch.
day. Yeah. I was,
Yeah, no, I can relate. Within those 6 months, when I was still a part timer, the full timer that was there was transferring stores. A new store was gonna open, and he applied for it, and there was like the chance that he was gonna leave. So maybe like a month and a half of training is all I got. A month and a half, and then I had to just run the shit myself.
have fun.
Exactly. So that's when it hit me like, dog, they don't, like, if I don't want to put the work in, they're not going to. They don't really care like that. So I'm like, if this is something that I really, like, I'm already here all the time. I'm here 40 hours a week. I'm, like, essentially know all my product. So why would I not put the interest in it? Why am I not here, for more than just a check? that's like when it clicked for me. I'm like, bro, I've been coming to work to say that I've come to work, that I have a job, that this, that, the other. But I haven't really actually been working, like, as an adult. And that's what hit me throughout this, like, 6 months. I was like, I was just fucking up. I was spending more than I made to an extent. I had too many, too many habits of, just, oh, no, it's fine. I get paid in, like, a week. And I was, like, cocky with my money. I'm like, cool, let's go out and eat out. It don't matter. Like, I just spend and spend and spend. And I was like, this shit, like, for me to be an adult and have this mindset, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So, that's something that was, like, when you said that reality clicked, I had that too.
Yeah, like reality really started.
Yeah, that should kick my ass.
Well, do you want to answer the last question?
What is it?
Will we continue? Question mark.
That's more, will we continue? That's more like a you question.
Well, I want to hear your input first. What do you think?
Am I willing to continue? Yes. Is it easy to just pick up where we left off? Not really. Because within the 6 months, like I said, a lot has changed for me. A lot of responsibilities at work. A lot of side projects of my own. So it's just like, would I be willing to? Yes. Is it going to? Not sure.
That'll be
Okay, wrap.
That'll be all. Let's go. I don't think the weekly form is something I'd be willing to go back to right away. That'd be something that I'd have to work towards. The way I perceive it right now is I just, like, as of February 2022, started getting into content making again for the first time, truthfully, since, like, 2018. Like, I'm committing to this fully, and I've been, like, fully committed to it, and I don't give a fuck. I'm tired of serving. I'm tired of busing. I'm tired of construction. I'm tired of retail. I'm tired of everything because I realized my purpose is to edit. I love editing, and I'm a damn good editor. I'll say that. I could edit pretty fucking good, and I'm just wasting my time, and I think that's what clicked for me too. So will I continue? Sure. I don't mind. I don't mind. Maybe it's like once a month because at that point, how we started, it was like that anyways.
Yeah.
And people still followed. If we did once a month, I could. I'm working with TikTok right now because the best way I could get back into this, as I saw it at the beginning of the year, was incremental improvement. I had to start to what I considered an embarrassing low standard because of the fact that I couldn't handle what I used to. I had to accept the fact that I'm not the 18-year-old me who was super confident and was willing to, like, take on the world. I'm not that kid anymore.
No.
I'm different now, and I have to realize that. I have to stop being like, oh, I was once somebody I was proud of. Why can't I be that way again? It's like, if I want to live a life of, like, virtue and happiness, I have to act that way first, and they will come.
Yep.
Not they will be there, and then eventually I can act in that manner, you know? So...
What was this quote? I think I was like, don't look back in life because that's not the direction you're going.
That's a good. I think I saw that one a couple
of bro, that's kind of deep.
That shit enough to make a grown man cry.
But it relates to, like, both of us at this point because we were like the same way that you said. I was like, damn, bro. Like, in high school, it was a time of my life because I was on top of my shit always. I had XYZ going on. Like, I would leave my house at 6:30 and not get home till like 8 p.m. like 4 days of the week. So it's like it took a while to adapt. I feel like it almost took a little too long for me to adapt to this adult lifestyle.
Yeah.
But
see, that's exactly how I feel too. I've learned that I have to stop, in some regard, punishing myself for waking up to this right now. Because there are some people that don't. There are some people that are 40, 50 years old and still have the mentality that we did for the past, like, 2 years.
So I have managers that are living check to check.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never once in my life have lived check to check.
Must be nice. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, yeah, no, I know. But, like, my situation is because I'm still at home. Blessing and a curse. But still. It just, like, you take shit for granted like that. Like, you're like, okay, now I'm making good money. I live at home. I have no reason to not have shit to my name.
You know, I never realized how easy it was living with my parents.
Thanks.
And I don't know, I felt like, oh, the entitlement, the luxury, just everything about it. I mean, like, it wasn't the best life. It wasn't like I was living in a mansion, but I was able to not work. I was able to wake up whenever I wanted. I was able to do whatever I wanted with the money that I made because I didn't really have any bills.
You knew that whenever you were hungry, there'd be something in the fridge or freezer, whatever it was. Like,
exactly, like every...
I'm at the point in life where I hate going to the grocery store because I know I'm going to spend like $100+ on groceries.
Yeah. Groceries are so expensive.
Why the fuck is that shit so expensive? Like, I fucking...
Especially, like, healthy food.
Thank God I'm not, like... I'm a picky eater.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying my best to eat healthy food, and that shit's expensive.
Yeah.
Like, Twinkies are, like, $3 for 20 of them. And then blueberries, that are the small little box, like $5.
Like $5?
I'm like...
Bro, and that's just at, like, Safeway or King Supers.
Yeah.
Imagine fucking going to Whole Foods or Target.
Yeah.
Like, I get my shit at Target, but that's because it's at the mall. So I just have to
right
work.
there.
Yeah, exactly. This shit, like, I'm allergic to egg, so, like, egg is like $6 I save on every trip.
Yeah.
But it's, like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Being an adult sucks. And I've learned that, you know what? Money may not buy happiness, but it could buy comfort and peace. Not having to worry about bills or anything, I think would be a luxury to have. And I think another mental shift that I made is I've tried to be a little more selfless in the regards to how I live the world, how I live my life. I think I was too caught up in my own world and in my own head and the whole narrative that I had for my life because I wanted to share stories. I wanted so much, and I had so much going on in my head that, like I said, I wasn't really here in the world. I felt like I was too caught up with myself. And that's one thing that I changed is that I'm trying to be more involved with other people's lives, and I'm trying to be more helpful and just
more socially aware.
Yeah, just more like involved with the world, my community, and everything. Because I hate staying in my house. I hate being cooped up in my room. And as much as I love editing, I don't want to be in front of my desk 24 hours a day. Like,
that's where I'm at too. Like, before I would prefer being isolated. I prefer being just at the crib. It was doing nothing. But, like, after this whole, when I was in quarantine, I'm like, bro, this shit fucking sucks.
Like, for the rest of your life, I can't do this.
I'm like, I can barely do it for 2 weeks. I'm like, if I want groceries, I have to, like, pay to do, like, the delivery or pickup. If I want food, I have to, like, do delivery, and that shit's expensive. It's like, This isn't something that's fun. Like, you can't go out because you know that by going out, you're risking other people's health. As much as I enjoy having me time, it's not
it, man.
Nah, like, for every hour of the time you spend alone, I feel like you need, like, 2 or 3 with somebody, like, socially.
I don't know. I think, like, an even balance of, like, 1 hour with somebody, 1 hour with yourself type of thing.
See, because, like, at work, I'm, like, one of my closest friends put in this 2 weeks, so I'm like, fuck, this shit's gonna suck.
It's always sad when I get
but it's like, the reason it sucks is because, like, we're close, is like, super close. Like, we be going to out to eat, like, for lunch and shit. We be hanging out outside of work. Like, it's one of those friends that you make at work, but is also
like,
more than a work friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck. But it's part of life. It hurts to see. It sucks to see people go, but if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. You don't want to see more people be in a shitty situation because you want them to stay.
Yeah, that is sad, damn. Because working with a friend, or at least somebody that you're comfortable with, on and off the clock, is something that can make any job enjoyable. So, I remember when I was working at the thrift store with Jonathan, we tolerated that job because of the fact that we had each other.
Exactly.
The moment he got fired for the stupidest reason, I quit the next day.
Exactly.
I was like, there's no way.
It becomes a living hell. It already is a living hell.
But it's like you don't have anyone.
Yeah, but you have someone that's in the hell with you.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not alone through this.
One of the longest tenured guys there that we had, he just transferred stores. He's been with the company like 7 years. And we just got a new manager. For the last 2 weeks with us, they paid him out. They didn't even let him work it because of a comment he made.
Was it like an offensive comment?
No,
or?
I thought it was. No, I found out what it was. So this new manager that's not even someone that's had like brand new to the company, not like a manager from another store or anything, just brand new. I guess she like asked like, "Oh, how are you today?" And he just made I was told it was in a sarcastic tone. Oh, I'm here. They sent him home and paid him out 2 weeks, so he didn't have to work there for the last 2 weeks. We started this month with 5 full-timers, like, per department. One per department. We're down to 3. Our guy in back of house, the one that, like, does all the processing of stuff, let me and my friend know, yeah, I'm done after today. I'm not coming in. Before he let any managers know.
Wow. Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes.
So I'm just banking on this new store opening in the summer and transferring over there because
it'll be a whole new team.
Not even that, dog. Like the management that is there now is just the most toxic work environment that you can be in. The fact that I've been here that long, like most people are like, I don't know how you've stayed. I'm like, I'm just so used to it at this point that it doesn't bother me. Like most people are like leave because a manager said this or they did this. I'm at the point where managers don't touch me, like they don't talk to me because they know I'm not gonna give a fuck.
You're just like, I know how to do my job.
Exactly. I'm like, you gave me nothing, and I've built this back up from ground zero. You can't take it away from me, and you can't tell me what to do with it.
Respect.
So it's a weird situation to be in. Like,
yeah,
it's growing. It's like maturing in a way. You have to realize what things are good for you, what things are bad for you, and when you need to let go of shit. Yeah. Do we have anything else?
Those were the 4 questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring up?
Not necessarily. Maybe something maybe a little more personal. Like, what are your social relationships like that now compared to 6 months ago?
Okay. I mean, we got 20 more minutes. I'm sure that's
give or take. Yeah. You start this one because I've started the last 2.
I know. I'm like, you go first. Why not? Relationships. Let's see.
6 months ago, you started one. Or over 6 months ago.
I started one.
Well, you were already in one.
Yes. I am still in the same relationship. Mm-hmm. It's a lot better than it was. Last year was difficult for us, and a lot of it was my fault. And I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm going to close the window. As for my relationship, it's a lot better now. I'm proud of myself for the way that we dug ourselves out of the little rut that we were in. A lot of it was just miscommunication, me being afraid to express who I truly was. Like I said, I had a lot of difficulty with myself and accepting who I was. And finding self-love was a lot of just... It required me to be by myself a lot, and she also had like the same problems of like, being insecure and whatnot. So it was just a lot of like explaining and being very thorough with one another. And it was a lot, but I mean, we got through it, and things are a lot better. So that's nice. We're a lot more focused and independent on ourselves, which is nice. I think that's a good change, at least for me, because of the fact that I've learned that I like being alone more often than I thought. Me being an extrovert, who would have thought? I prioritize my alone time more so than other people do, I guess. And as for my friends, everybody that I'm friends with is about the same, I would say. Yeah, I am still friends with John, Quack, you, Alden, Isaiah. I don't have a third roommate anymore.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, when the fuck? No, I remember.
Yeah, so there's that. And my room is still a mess. My relationship with my family is pretty good. Sad thing changed. One of my aunts passed away. So
Oh,
there was that. Yeah.
is it the one that got sick with COVID?
Yeah. Tough.
Sorry to hear.
Yeah. I had like those 3 events last year. I had a Halloween party, a Friendsgiving, as well as a Christmas party. They weren't really like parties. Actually, the Halloween party was a party, but like that was like my mom hosting the party, and she did a pretty fucking good job. The Friendsgiving ended up being like 13 to 15 people, I think, and it was a huge group of like all of my friends that like had never really been in the room together, you know.
Yeah.
And like friends of friends too. There was Jos, Marcus, Jonathan, John, Rebecca, Lizzie, Elisa. There was Elisa's friend Bethany. Then there was Yoshi, Javier, as well as his Rebecca, and then Kent, as well as Quack. It's quite the group. And I never thought I'd see those people in the same room. So like to see everybody interact and actually all have a good time. All of us stuck together the whole night. To me, that was impressive. I was totally planning on everybody splitting off into different groups because I set my room up, I set the dining room up, I set the living room up and everything because I was expecting everybody to like eventually
the
break
social
off.
groups. Yeah.
But no, we all stuck together the whole night. I was like, wow, impressive. And then the Christmas party, there was only like 7 of us. It was me, Jonathan, Rebecca, John, Marcus, Jos, and I think that was it. Quark. Did I mention Quark?
No.
To me, those are things that I want to continue doing every year because they were nice, and I felt like with the way the world was, everybody, you know, getting depressed and miserable and whatnot, those were nice.
Yeah.
It was a nice change of pace,
Makes you forget.
yeah, and I was like, I have a difficult time hosting things or reaching out to people, as you know. Like I said, I stick to my own bubble. So that was my attempt to like do something. It may not be the same every year. It may be smaller next year. It may be bigger. I don't know, but I think it'd be fun to do every year. That's how my life has been in some regard. How's yours?
I'm in the same place really. Just still working on who I am and what I want in life. I think I've discovered that like I have no. It's still weird to say, but I have like no sexual interest in anybody.
Nice.
Like, yes, I find people attractive. Like, yes, I'll be like, damn, they're hot, or this, that, the other. But like, that's as far as I would go. Like, would I get into a relationship? Yes, but I have no interest in making like. I don't find like sexual appeal in anybody, which is weird, and it's something that I'm still trying to come to terms with.
I mean, it's probably just like, you know, you don't have like a lot of experience with it, right?
No, I mean, it doesn't matter though. People that don't have experience with it still find like people attractive and like would want to have. I just don't see the point. I just don't like. It's not something that piques my interest in a way.
Well, hey, you know, at least you have your eyes on the prize.
Yeah, exactly. Like the aspect of like knowing someone personally, and getting close to somebody is more intriguing to me than that.
You know, I mean, I agree with you 100% because, I mean, physical contact in terms of like who it is. I don't know.
Well,
I don't think it's
spend,
ever as good.
If you marry someone, you're spending 90% of your lifetime or 95% of your lifetime just being with them socially, and that other 5% is sexually.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't see the point in it right now. Maybe once I actually get into a relationship, then it might change. But right now, I'm like, I'd rather get to know people than want to get to know them more personally.
See, in my relationship with Joseph, we're almost going on 2 years now, which is the longest relationship I've been in.
Yep.
I feel like it's definitely matured a lot of the thoughts that I've had in terms of how to perceive relationships and how to respect women and everything, all the above. Not that I was ever like horrible with it, but I was definitely confused. You know what I mean? I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know at the time what it took to maintain a relationship and to keep myself happy as well as her at the same time, you know? Because I'm a people pleaser, as you know, whenever somebody reaches out or I don't know, I always try to be as helpful as I can be.
Yeah.
So, especially in a relationship, in that regards, I tend to overlook myself and prioritize another person, just toxic trait I have. And I learned to really put myself first, being like, if I can't be 100% in something, then that's my fault.
I've always done it. Like ever since, I've always been like, oh, I need to learn to love myself first. Throughout this 6 months, I learned that you can keep trying to learn to love yourself, but you'll never be 100%. You'll never be that perfect person that you have in your head. So you just have to be comfortable with being as good as you can be with, like, in reality. Like, I learned that I'm not ever gonna lose, like, my temper or this, that, the other. But I'm like, I know how to control it. I need to know how to do this. I need to know how to work within my limits now. Because losing it isn't ever gonna happen.
Between you and I, it's a lot of accepting the way life has been.
Yes.
And
see, the thing I've taken away is like, to love it more is to care about it less. Like in matter of self-love, to love yourself more is to care less about what other people think of you. In a way.
Yeah. How I've learned to love myself is to really just find the small things that I do genuinely enjoy about myself. I like the fact that I can make videos. I think I'm pretty good in conversation. I can make people laugh. I'm pretty silly. I at least take pretty good care of my health. You know, I'm not like 100% all there, but I could run, I could jump, I could climb, I could do flips and shit. Not greatly, but I still have that capability. I still work out. I still try to keep myself in good shape. I drink water. You know, I work hard at my job. I have a sharp mind, and it's willing to push itself to find better jobs and better careers and help people. I'm trying to be a better person every day, and I think that's something that I've learned to remind myself of whenever I'm trying to love myself. And a lot of it is just like writing it down and then like rereading it to myself or talking to myself in the mirror. You know, not being so negative with who I've been or how I perceive myself, and being careful about what I say about myself and about my life and the things that I joke about, the like subliminal things that we often overlook but actually mean more than we think.
Yeah.
And to me, I was just like, I want to be careful about how I speak. I don't want to like degrade myself because I'm sensitive. I had to accept the fact that me, Brandon, who never gave a fuck for his whole life, finally at the age of 22 is sensitive. Like, who would have guessed it? I didn't give a shit about anything up until like a couple months ago. Everything started to make me realize, oh my god, like I'm like I could be a huge problem if I don't get my act together.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
I'm like, I could like end up homeless. I have to realize that growing up, it does suck, but I have to be a part of this life. Like, ugh. So, yeah, I that's when you said, like, you felt like you were a little slow to it. That's how I felt, too. I felt like it took me way too long to realize. Like, as I was sitting here, it was just like, you're an idiot.
And I feel like, I don't know if you can relate. In a way, it was kind of like a privilege to be a little slow. Like, I wasn't a silver platter kid. I wasn't but like still, I never really lacked anything.
Yeah.
I was never really like, my family was never like really living paycheck to paycheck or like
it's having like we never budget. Really had that push.
Exactly. So it's like the standard of like, oh, you turned 18, now go be a real adult and fulfill all these standards that everybody has set for you.
Yeah.
It kind of took a while. But I think the real maturity happened when I'm like, these standards that you guys set is either toxic or unrealistic.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend the other day. I'm like, I learned that everything that, well, not everything, but the majority of the things my parents stand for, I don't necessarily always 100% align with, and that's okay. If I want to make change, I have to be the one that makes the change. I can't wait for the next generation or the generation before me. Like, if I want to see something be different, I have to act on it now. So it's like, it's one of those things, but as far as like, my relationship with my family's gotten better, especially with my mom. My social group is still small. I don't really go out of my way to talk to people or meet people. But the few people I do have in my life, I cherish. Just try to be like socially present, and that's really where I am like now as far as 6 months ago when I didn't care to have friends. I didn't care. I didn't have good relationship at home. I hated to be at home 6 months ago, and now it's like I'm okay with spending time at home, spending time with my mom.
Wow. Who would have thought 6 months
Damn,
would
bro.
have changed? I have one more question we could touch on. I guess, like, going forward, what are our plans, right? If we do eventually record another episode, I don't know when it would be. It could take me, like, 2 weeks to edit this or something.
I'd say we could go every month.
Yeah, every month wouldn't be too bad.
We could start it every month if we wanted to do a little more often. Then yeah. The good thing is that we already had that base set. I still have the TikTok signed in. I still have the Instagram signed in.
Yeah, I still have all the information. I still have all the clips and
Exactly.
everything.
So it's not a matter of the expectations that we set of making it a weekly thing. I feel like was a little too rushed.
Yeah. Here's what I think we could do. Realistically, looking at this going forward, March is going to be a difficult month for me because I'm going to have to go back into working both jobs, Olive Garden and First Watch. I took a break for February just so I could recompose myself and start working on me, which is everything that I've been working on. But my brother's currently unemployed because he worked at King Soopers and there was that whole King Soopers thing.
The union strike.
Yeah, so he's currently finding another job as of right now.
And Nike's hiring.
Marcus!
Toxic work environments, that's your spot.
Yeah, so realistically, I can see this video getting done in like 2 weeks minimum because of the fact that I'm only going to have Mondays and Tuesdays to edit. I could totally commit to getting it done and fully edited.
I mean, I don't have a problem keeping as much raw audio or footage as we can.
Yeah.
I don't expect these cuts and fancy transitions in this.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not going to do all that. It's just the other stuff.
Yeah, it's background audio and...
The other stuff I want to work on, I'm trying to actually plan time out. So I was thinking we could release this. I could probably make a few TikToks on this. I don't know. Maybe like one or two. Maybe, I don't know.
If you want to cut shit, I'll still try to learn how to edit. I don't have the computer for it. But if there's a way that we can send, like, video files between each other, I'll learn how to do, like, iMovie or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah. I could definitely look into it. But I could see this getting out, and then once this is out, we could, like, let some reception be received, and we could go from there. Maybe record another one. It could be, like, once a month, once every 2 months.
We could change this from a podcast more to a documentary.
That could
more
be
like it too, because every month is like more of a check-in more than really.
Yeah, I mean, you could just take a bunch of footage and then send it to me over like Dropbox.
Facts. We could. I mean, we could do, like any footage that we have throughout the month. We could just compile and.
Yeah, like whatever we capture, we throw it over when we're talking about it.
Yeah,
that could work. I take a lot of footage and shit too.
Yeah, it makes a camera work a lot easier too.
Yeah, it makes me less concerned about like, do I look stupid on camera? Because 99% of the time, I think I do.
Facts.
Like, I'm always so like.
I just keep looking over. I'm like, am I still in frame?
I'm looking. I'm like, is my head being chopped off? Or my eyes looking at like each wall? Am I like breathing too loud? Am I clearing my throat too much? Like, am I moving too much? Is the chair squeaking too damn loud?
Am I drinking too often?
Yeah. It's a whole lot of just like, it's a lot to think about. But I don't know. I think I like so far this format. It was nice to have this, just because of the fact that I don't like leaving things on bad terms. Or like, not bad terms, but like terms that I'm like not complacent with. You know what I mean?
It was more like
sad terms.
It wasn't even sad. It wasn't really sad. It was more like just in the air.
It was all over.
Like we never had a definite solution as to whether we would continue or what the like.
I think we didn't address a lot what was going on, and that was probably what it was. Like I said, it was just like a lot of us voluntarily censoring things for the sake of the podcast.
We also had way too many expectations.
Honestly, yeah.
Like, we record twice a week, and we have the Halloween, and then we can have Christmas.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot. I feel like if we could get used to this format, especially me, I just need to get back into the habit of editing because I was not. I did not like sitting down in front of a computer because I kept trying to tackle everything at once. You know, bite off the whole fucking branch instead of just chopping it off bit by bit type of thing. So I'm like, but yeah, that is it for this episode. We won't even call this an episode. We'll just call it like...
That's it for February 25th.
This is the Crossroads number 1. When we crossed roads one more time. Hey, it works.
This is a 6-month check-in. Hopefully we don't have another 6 months check-in.
The first crossroad.
Yeah, the first stop.
First stop. Hey, yeah, we'll call this first stop. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, yeah, next time I'll be more aware of what this setup will look like because fuck,
this is a little different.
See, my intention was to turn that closet into a studio, but right now it's full of my laundry. So
I don't even have space in my room right now.
My idea is that left door is going to be where the seat is, and then I have a bunch of soundproof panels, or like those foam panels that I put on the wall, and eventually I want us to do like voice acting.
I've seen that you did like a pillow over a mic or something like that. Yeah, I saw it.
It made the audio sound real good. Oh yeah, but that's essentially it. Thanks for watching our podcast. Until next time, bring some footage. Give me any footage that you have as well.
I don't think I have anything for February.
No, that's okay. Anything over the last 6 months that you have saved,
Good point. Good enough.
And yeah, this will be something I'll prioritize editing. And
we'll see where we go with this.
Yeah.
We don't have expectations right now.
Yeah. We will not record another video until this one's done editing. My only expectation right now is that I'll get this done. Because I feel like I'm doing this for me and you. And that's it. You know, it's not for the world. It's just for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
Time to go suck dick.